What's up, guys? This is Stay Woke, episode 2, just after the pilot, and we have today a special guest. He goes by the name Ralph Layco, a beautiful, beautiful human being. I met him through, well, of course, our other host, Mary Gimenez. Mary, tell us a little bit about Ralph and, what he could bring to the table, I guess.
Alright, Rama. So basically, I met Ralph in a trip from Thailand. I met him in a mastermind event where it's all about persuasion. So I learned more about copywriting and I stumbled upon him. So Ralph is a very interesting character. He told me about terms of bending reality, seeing beyond your horizons. And so in this episode, he shows us basically how education is something more than just being in the four corners of school.
Oh, and what a beautiful, beautiful disruption of education that is. And so Ralph Layco, he's coming right up next, and please open your hearts and minds for our beautiful guest. And stay woke, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Stay Woke with your host, Rama, and to my side,
Mari Gimenez. Hey, what's up, everybody?
And today we have quite a special show ready for you guys. This man, he's been on TV quite often lately, and in fact, I thought it was very special. Somehow, Mary had a connection with this man. I like to think that he has some very important and special words or messages that I think the rest of the world should really take notice. With the times changing as fast as they are, and with all the information that's coming around the world, now is a very important time to settle down with the information and actually, I guess, more or less absorb it, and become a sponge. Mary, why don't you take over? I mean, you're the one with the relationship. So,
in fact,
please.
yeah. In fact, this is also one of my best friends. In what he does, he's a marketer, he's an entrepreneur, and he's doing a killing in the southern area of the Philippines. I'm going to introduce you, Ralph Layco.
Hi everyone. Thank you very much for having me, guys.
Yeah, no.
Congratulations, your second episode.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, we're humbled. We're humbled by your presence, and we're so thankful that you accepted.
Thank you for having me, guys.
So Ralph, I guess where do we start? Let's look or take a peek into your childhood and your raising, your upbringing. I'm sure being a Filipino, there were some typical average things that were in your upbringing that normally many people in the Philippines have gone through. But enlighten us. Let us know.
I think it's a common upbringing. I was born in the south of the Philippines, in General Santos City. I was a child of a middle class, but my parents actually started from the bottom, right? And then they started from nowhere. They built this small companies selling steel products. And then I was their first baby. My situation is different because when I was growing up, I had really this experience with bullying, right?
Right. Yeah. And as we were talking offset, we were talking about bullying. I mean, I share that sentiment. I grew up being bullied as well.
Right.
I'm sure a lot of our viewers also have experienced that, especially, it's such a normal thing in school.
Actually, it's a common thing.
Yeah,
it happens all the time in
put
childhood.
Down. So how did you get past that? Like, what was your mindset growing up? Did you actually feel bad? You were always the case in point when it came to bullying, or did you somehow grow up with a mindset that this is only for now?
Right.
Did you know who you were, or was that a struggle for you in the beginning?
So growing up, you don't really have like a life hack how to counter bullies, right? Like, so for example, when I was young, when somebody talks about, when somebody's, say really mean stuff to you, you just really cry at the corner,
or shut down.
And you shut down, and then
anger.
Sometimes you go to the point you don't want to go to school anymore.
Right.
So it's really I think it happens to most people, but I think that became really a great part of who I am now, because things toughen you up, especially your childhood. It's a big part of us growing up, and we bring it with us. So there you go, yeah.
And so I guess maybe my next question would be, did you find meaning in your life in the beginning, or was it sort of like a lost road, and you were at a crossroad and you didn't know what to do. Did you
Right.
reach a point in your life where that happened?
Yeah, so growing up, so I'll just continue my story
Yes,
maybe.
please
So
do.
Yeah.
I stayed there in General Santos City until high school.
Okay.
You know, just ordinary childhood, and I went to college at UP Visayas Iloilo, and then I think that's where really it got worse because I you know, it happens. When you're weird, when you have weird ideas, you're the guy. Especially I had pimples back then,
Oh,
and I was like,
no
you know,
one-
shouting pimples,
Yeah.
and I was like thin. So, but I'm like a perfect, you know, target for these people. Yeah, but yeah, and then after that, I went to Nestle for a quick stint for corporate right after graduation.
I see.
And then right after that, my mom got sick, so I had to take care of her.
Sorry. What did she?
She had cancer.
Oh, I
This
see.
was 2010,
Oh,
and then I
nice.
chose to stay by her side, and then it eventually got worse after a vacation,
Mhm.
and then I had to go back home because so I had to bring my mom home because it was getting worse, and then I'm a mama's boy, so it was really hard for me, and after that my mom passed away,
Mm.
and I stayed with my dad, so
really,
I
really sorry to hear
there-
that.
no problem, man.
Yeah.
So it's like the original plan was to stay in Manila. You know, this is where like it's like our own New York, right?
Opportunities
It's
happen.
where
Yeah, it's our own
opportunities
New
are.
York. Yeah.
Right?
It's big.
Yes, and so well, that didn't happen. So I
Okay.
had to like find a way to direct my creative energies, and
Mhm.
so I started started building stuff in General Santos, and it became so much of a failure. It was 5 years of consequent failures. So my dad is in a state where I can ask him like, Dad, maybe can I ask for funding? Like you're the spoiled kid.
Of course, the spoiled kid.
Yeah, that's what I
You're
am
from money
really.
with the parents.
There's your typical spoiled kid, like you get anything, you just cry for it, you beg for it, and then just to tame you down, they'll give what you want, right?
Definitely,
What were
definitely.
those
You
first
bug them
things?
until they give
The
you.
first things, well, of course, I
Yeah.
asking for computers and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
just money. I told them, Dad, you wanted me to be okay, and manage this, me being depressed during the time
Right,
because of
right.
my mother's death. You have to have an idea. So my idea was, most guys, we go to a barber shop and then we have this white walls, you have the same ordinary experience. And I'm like, this has to change, and I think that's the natural disruptive side of me. Like, you know what? Maybe there's a great business idea here. This is my time to be like Mark
Right.
Zuckerberg.
Right.
Yeah.
There
And
was-
when everything was coming up, like, I mean, young people all over the world were succeeding. It's like,
Yes.
why not me, right? Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure you had that.
Yes, that was a time Mark Zuckerberg actually is getting more
More popular after Facebook.
Yes.
Got more popular in the Philippines.
Yes,
Yeah, they
and that was
exploded.
the
Right.
first time we hear about the word millennial. We hear about the
Mhm.
world you can drop out of college and do your own thing, and I'm
Right.
like, well, he's smart. I think I'm smart. Maybe I can do my own thing, and maybe I can start and building my own empire. So that was the first, wow, it's a long time ago.
Yeah. No, hey, wait. Please let the viewers
Yeah.
know. I mean, how old are you now?
I'm 30 years old. Look at me trying to struggling with,
No,
but I'm 30 years old.
But
yeah.
during that time,
I was I think 22.
22.
21.
So this is 8 years.
8 years ago.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay.
So I started my own barbershop. So the idea is to start a barbershop that doesn't feel like a barbershop. It's more of a men place. And then there was not much of that concept in Manila too. So I was feel like maybe
Okay.
this is going to be the rise of the new form of barbershop. And you can have your haircut done also the way you want because we have a stylist. So
Right.
that's the idea.
So it's like a salon, barber shop.
in
Put
one.
in one.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
because we want to simplify things. I'm simplifying it through this concept, which is called macho mucho.
Right.
And then after 10 months, it it failed. It was a
Failed.
public failure after
It
that.
failed.
It failed.
But as we know, it didn't seem
No.
so.
So here's how
so how
what
did you
happened.
flip that around? I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sure that was quite an adversity for you.
It is an adversity, especially when you don't, I think it's not common for a 23-year-old or 23-year-old to lose their business or first business, right?
Right,
And like, no one to relate to, especially small city down down
In
the
Jensen,
Philippines.
yeah.
So well, I was stubborn, so I started another concept. Without asking for my dad's help, but sometimes I do. It's always a thing when you're trying to be a spoiled brat, prove and then something. So I started a magazine. It's called Republic Magazine. It went on for a year. I was the one was going around different offices and asking for if you guys wanted to place advertisements on my magazines. I have to go to Starbucks in Davao just to place the magazines there so that people will really. It's really like the struggle, starting something, and I was reading a lot of the success stories, and I'm gonna be that, and like sleeping in my car like that,
were
starting
doing
from the
everything. You
bottom
were doing
hustle kind of
everything
life.
to get it,
Yeah, and then it failed again, right? And then I started another one.
When
which
this year was?
It's 2013, I think, 12, 13.
Okay.
Those were the dark years of my life, by the way.
Ooh.
Yeah, because
You built two businesses though.
I built a business that failed. I think that's a clear. But this is the worst part because I started another one and another one. So it's like an agency because I'm more of a creative guy. So like I design logos and stuff, and I pulled in people to join me. And then the worst part is I closed the business after 4 months. 5 months. That's how bad. It's getting worse, right? So like, you thought you're all smart, and then eventually it all comes tumbling down. And what's your identity then?
When
Put yourself
reality
to the-
slaps
reality
you.
slaps you and tells you that no matter what you try, you can't pull anything off.
Okay, and that point for you,
That was the pivotal point.
yeah, what did that feel like? I mean,
Oh.
because I know, I'm sure a lot of people go through this. They have a brilliant idea, and it's so beautiful, it's so explosive, and you see it. It's so it's so easy to see like it could work. But but for you at that moment, did it seem like it was?
Dude, so when
was
someone
done?
starts anything and then they said, "Oh my God, I'm giving up with life," I'm like, "Dude, you haven't been through what I went through," because I go, it was worse. So, well, worse is the word of the day. So it all changed when I had a conversation with my dad. I was crying. I was, closing my fourth business, and he told me in a hut outside their house, and he said, I remember that very vividly when he said, "Ralph, you are not a businessman."
Wow.
That was very blunt.
It was very blunt. It was so direct because he, it's tough love, right? Like it's only your dad who can tell you that. My dad told me, you're not a businessman. You're a creative. You have to accept that.
So how did you?
And I was like, I hated him for 3 days. I'm like, maybe he's right. I got a referral from a friend who gave me this book. It's called StrengthsFinder, which I recommend to everyone. So StrengthsFinder, there you go. It's the book that changed everything for me because when I took the test, it revealed to me 5 things, and I got happy and got really depressed also. Because the 5 things that was revealed to me is I'm more of an activator type, so which means I can start things easily, right? So that's why I was able to start things, in that manner. And I'm positive, and there's more of connectedness. I am okay with how things unravel at times. I can accept it faster, and I'm also in ideation. I have it's easy for me to get ideas or to make ideas. And then I forgot the 5th one, which I'm gonna remember later. But
sure, down the line. It's
down the line.
Millennial thing, by the way, guys. I mean, we always forget things.
Yeah, we forget things. It's okay. So, and when I took that, none of that was analytical. None of that is about making really hard decisions. None of that is about managing finances, because all of those are more on the ideating kind of
concept
strength.
Conceptualizing.
Yes. So there it is when you truly accept who you are and who you are not that you begin to start this whole new journey of yourself with more compassion towards yourself, and with more hope that in the future you'll do more of who you really are.
Wow.
So one of the really great quotes there in the book is, you may not be who you want to be, but you can be more of who you already are. And I like that quote very much. It basically says you cannot be like Mark Zuckerberg or Steve Jobs. Everybody idolizes them, especially in the early 2012, 2014. But then I can be more of Ralph. And who that guy is, that's what I'm most excited about. That really, was the pivotal point. It was the start of my journey. Making bolder decisions with much more understanding of what I also suck at, right?
So basically, faith in yourself.
Faith in myself and a complete compassion and kindness about the things that are wrong with me, or maybe I'm weak at.
So acceptance.
Acceptance, full acceptance.
Self-realization.
Right.
Yeah,
I thought of it as well. It's a
I mean,
self-realization.
Ralph, beautiful, by the way. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Seeing as you went from 2013 into that period when you talked with your dad seriously,
Right.
that was around the year 2000.
2015, I think the one we were talking about earlier.
Right,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
so
Very
2015
recent,
until now, 4 years later,
Yeah.
you're now here,
Right.
sitting in this chair with us,
Right.
right? Wearing a new bold shirt,
Yeah.
actually.
Pride.
Tell us about that. I mean,
Right.
wow, this is one of the things that picked up my interest.
Right,
And piqued
right.
it, like really, really.
Thank you.
I commend you so much for what you're doing.
And one of the
Yeah.
good things is that I'm also
And I
a
can-
first student.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
Ari is one of the first students of NBU, and I'm so proud of him. And he's becoming bolder and bolder in life, and it's one of the people I'm really happy about. Everyone, I'm actually proud of all of them. That pivotal moment, I teamed up with my sister, and we built the business Macho Mucho. Had a breakthrough, and we have now 9 branches. We have another brand, Hair Food Co, and it's now around 11 branches.
Wow.
We're putting up these new brands.
Wow,
And
wow.
then I now have this time of my life. I think that was like the past 3 years, right? Like slowly, I'm leading now to the new bold you. I was at the point of my life where I felt like there's a lot of people getting more confused, right? I was at that point.
Expound on confused.
Okay.
What do you mean by that? I mean, I'm sure a lot of people will get it right off the
Right.
bat, but what do you mean by confused?
So
How
remember
was
when
it?
I was in the state where I was crying because I cannot seem to make things right.
Right. With your dad, right?
I was crying with with my dad. That confusion of where do I go? I think that's a common question. Most of us, especially, who's still trying to figure out life, we have that question. Somehow I was able to go through that and conquer that. I got a clear understanding about life. I had a friend who's in Cebu, and there was this time it really hit me to the heart because we were having a conversation over beer. So he's working in a credit card company. This guy is really talented. He actually sings. He has a really good voice. He's good looking, and he's Filipino.
Okay, of course.
He does a lot of photography. So he loves to travel,
Okay.
and wherever he goes, it's as if the photos are just well curated. He was not really happy and exhilarated about life, right?
That's quite a surprise.
Yeah, so
I mean, with the
because
success.
he's been doing a lot of things to numb himself. He's not doing what he loves doing.
Right.
So he
Which is the
kinda-
struggle most people face.
exactly.
A lot in
Sadly.
the Philippines,
I
basically.
mean,
Yes.
parents nowadays, they really push you to do something they want you to do.
True.
They think it'll be good for you.
True.
But what ends up happening? You're successful, have all the money, but then you're not happy.
I was a kid who is trying to survive college, and when in your college, that's all your life, right? Like everything is about school, and then I see that it's not only me who's going through that. It's like everybody who's a little weird, who's doing things, but cannot really find their space in the world. And I feel for them because that was me. And putting them all together, I was like really frustrated to the point that I want to do something about it. And that's the time I started feeling more. I'm like impregnated about this big idea, right? Of you know what? Let's solve this. And I don't know how to manifest this. I really don't know how to solve those dilemmas that they're having. And then I was at the point where, you know what? I just tried putting up seminars. That's why before NBU, I was starting little seminars for like 3 years. I was trying this one seminar. Nothing has this original, composition. It's just like sharing things. It's just like any seminar.
Yeah.
But I hated being any seminar. Until I came to the point when I had a eureka idea. You know what? Maybe I'll start a school. And that was like a bold idea, right? And I was sharing it bold. There
Talk
you go.
about
New
the
bold.
keyword, bold.
I was sharing it to my dad, And what's good about my dad is because he also built his own thing. He didn't really see it as weird, and I'm like, we were having fun, we were laughing about it, you know, in a good way. I just told him like, Dad, you know what? What? I'm gonna start a school. I'm like, okay. And then cheers.
Oh, he bought it?
He bought it, right?
Wow.
Because well, I think he understands that I'm a little weird, and he accepted that part of me.
So that moment was like, for you, life-changing. Your father had accepted
Accepted, exactly.
right away.
Right away.
Yeah, it wasn't even a...
This is the hard part, is because I was sharing it to my friends. Like, maybe I want to start something like a school.
Right.
And I'm like, what's your building? Where's your real estate for that? And, you know.
And then life hits you again.
Life hits you again and telling you all of the evidences why it will not work. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's hard because you're the only guy who believes in it. Right? So that's the thing about people who try to change stuff or disrupt stuff or revolutionize stuff, is that no one believes you at first. Sometimes even if you have your closest friends, even your closest friends, if you share that to them, they will laugh their pants off, and you love them still, but you hate them for days. Because how dare you? I thought you were gonna support me. You thought you were my support system, but
yeah. Well, I mean, friends. What we want from friends is usually the truth, right?
yes.
So I'm guessing in a way it's more of the sense that they didn't want you to expect greatness and then not achieve it and then feel
True.
down. I mean, yeah, our friends care for us, right?
True.
So
And that I became a little numb, because it's as if like, by all means I'm gonna do this, right? I have limited finances for this.
so you blocked out the word.
I blacked out the world. I love that. I blacked out the world, and I was just going all in. And
Okay.
so I started it. I called some of my CEO friends, expert friends, founder friends. I'm telling them, you know what, I'm putting this up. And some of them, I asked if it's for free, if it's okay. And they're like, I'm putting this up. I'm trying to, you know what, when you say, I want to reimagine education, that for them, like, ooh, it's kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
And then, but eventually, some of them really bought in, because I was not doubting myself anymore. You go to the point where you no longer doubt about something you believe in, because you care about it. Yes.
There we go.
You care about it so
That's-
much, you
yeah.
don't care about people's opinion about it. So I went in, and then I asked, like, you know, you don't have enough budget, and then you ask for the look for the venue for it, and then eventually it all came together. And then I called it New Bold U, because New Bold University, about being bold, but it also is when you put when you make it a, you know, the university, you make it New Bold U. And so it parang was a epiphany, like, ooh,
So,
it's coming together.
So
And
that's how it
it came
became.
exactly. And then the logo, there it goes.
Yeah,
it's a
it's
fire. It's
Okay,
like
so
passion,
that stands for, well, passion. Yeah.
passion,
But
burning
what else?
passion.
What else?
And at the middle
Yes.
is a heart.
Okay.
Right?
I never saw that.
There you go.
Like, I've been looking at that logo for so
Wow.
You
long.
thought it's just fire?
I thought it was just fire and
Just
and then I hit it or
Beautiful.
something.
Okay,
But then
there you
I
go.
just saw the heart. Just
The heart is
wow.
there, because if you are, you know, doing what you love, you'll be on fire. You'll be, you know, happier, and you'll do great things. I really believe in a quote, when, you know, when you believe in something and then the universe inspires you, you know, and in making it real. And it became real.
I always thought I was just like, why am I always failing? Why is it that I'm not good at accounting? Because I'm not really a numbers guy.
Exactly.
But I'm more of this guy who's really good with people,
Right.
talking to people,
Right.
and also connecting,
Yeah.
ideating, and looking towards the future. So I
Right.
played through that, and then I really had this amazing moment where, when you taught me about this, I just learned that, wow, this should really be spread like wildfire in this
Yeah.
country.
Oh, thanks, man.
In this
Thank
country,
you.
man.
I don't think I can even find the words to explain how hard that must have been.
Mhm.
I mean, that was
Thanks,
what,
man.
8 years of trials and
Right.
errors, and it got worse throughout the middle, as we all heard. So now, at the end of the story, you're here today,
Right.
and I think maybe one thing a lot of the viewers might want to know is from the age of 20 to now, your age 30. I mean, these are your very, very best years to
Mm.
take risks, as
Mm.
they say, right?
Mm.
Some of the top guys in the world, you know, I mean, just to name a few, like we have Gary Vee. I mean, he is unleashing fire in the world. Shout out to Gary Vee, by the way. We absolutely love your content. But and I think the question would be, from the age of 20 to 30, what do you advise people? For someone who maybe hasn't found their purpose yet, or maybe someone who hasn't learned how to cultivate their passion, in a sense that, to be able to work for them. Right? Because I mean, from experience, like with Mary, I'm sure Mary himself, he was building a fitness program and a fitness business, and he was doing it freelancing, right?
True.
As a bodybuilder for people. And by the way, guys, he's working on me too. So wish me luck, right? That's gonna be
after 30 episodes.
After 30 episodes, I'll be a
You'll
new man.
see
So you guys wait for that. Please stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Another reason to watch.
I look a lot more better than I already am. All right? No, okay, but
Okay, go.
enough with the funny talk. Right?
Yeah.
What do you advise? I mean, what are your top takeaways from that journey you had? Those 8 years. What were the most pinpoint realizations you made? That really, helped you to push through, like knock down that wall. Like what were they?
Well, right now we live in a world where there's just so much pressure to succeed and to be the
social media pressure.
Exactly.
So,
a lot of pressure is coming from your parents, from social media mainly, and from all of these forces around, and it tells you that you can do it quicker, faster, you can hack your way to success, and you can be the best that you can be, be an overnight success. And all of that are actually noises for me, I mean, like, these are really good inputs. But then the thing about pressure is that you also pressure your growth. And for you to really get to a higher level of life, you need to not only move.
I like that higher level of life.
Yeah, you need to only move 4 steps forward. You need
4 steps forward.
You don't move 4 steps forward. You have to move 4 steps deep. You have to go through life understanding everything. You don't have to skip the lessons, because each lessons that you learn in life needs to be totally understood. And that's why sometimes for us, because we're kind of half-baked, because you know what, I'll skip that, I failed, I'll skip that. And then you didn't really understand the meaning of what happened. It becomes a pattern, and that's why I feel like all of us are like hustling with not much direction, or with not much purposeful direction or movement, because we try so hard to go to the finish line faster. And this is
like we're rushing somewhere, right?
True.
And then sometimes we just think that, what is the finish line?
Exactly, right? Where's the finish line? We're like in endless desire for more, right? But actually it's not more. It's more about less of the noise, and less of these demands, and coming closer to yourself and understanding that this is all a journey. My suggestion for most people who goes, like during their 20s or 30s,
please tell
there you
them.
go. Hey guys, you 20 to 30-year-old people, and I think that this applies to a lot of people, even beyond that age range. Is you should be not going for perfection. Their aim is to grow. The aim is to learn, and the aim is to love more, and this is the time for you to make mistakes. Your 20s is a perfect time for you to start a lot of things. You won't know what you're passionate about. People are asking, what are you passionate about? You know what? You don't really get the clue for what you're passionate about if you haven't tried a lot of things. You need to make mistakes. You have to go out there. You have to be in the arena. Stop living in the sidelines and observe people. You have to be there and try a lot of things until you find something that you care about. But more than caring about, something that you actually are willing to sacrifice, even though the payoff is short, but because it's something that you love doing, and something, you know what, I actually failed in that, but I actually love doing it.
And so you just keep working on it until it succeeds, right?
There you go.
Yeah, trial and error. All right, wow, that's great. I'm sure a lot of people are taking so much from you right now.
That's a big answer. I love
Yeah,
that
yeah.
answer. It's just so forward and deep. Oh my gosh.
I mean, right now,
Thanks,
like
man.
you just laid out basically an ocean of answers for the rest of the world.
Mm.
And I guess maybe to kind of take this off, let's try to let them hear from you. What does stay woke mean for you?
Yeah.
I like that question.
I mean, hey, you know,
Stay woke,
this
yeah.
is stay woke. So,
Right.
so we have me and Mary. We share a vision of what's woke means.
Right.
I mean, woke is a millennial term.
Mm.
We have this funny way.
One of our many terms.
One of our many terms.
Yeah.
And our generation, we have a funny way of making up words just to revitalize the
Yeah.
meaning, I guess. You know, so
It happens in all generations.
yeah, it
Mm.
definitely happens,
Mm.
and especially way before us.
Mm.
They were all facing
Yeah.
the same things we're facing now. So, for them to feel maybe less alone,
Mm.
what is stay woke for you?
It's really about staying centered and focused on things that are important in your life.
Focused and centered.
Mm.
Things that are important.
Because every day we get to be a part of this physical world, which is about business and things to do
And
interactions
relationships,
and relationships and
yeah.
how to like maneuver that and how to get from one point to another
Yeah.
and weekends with your family and you know all of these noises or things to do, right? And sometimes we care less to try to question things that we're doing because it's what everybody is doing. And then we
Right.
end up to this point in our lives, maybe around 15 years after that, oh my God, I'm 35 years old or 30.
What did I do?
And what did I
did I
do?
go?
Where did that
those
go?
years ago.
Regrets, right?
Right? Regrets. And you can ask like most people who are in their 50s or in their 60s and they'll tell you that, people especially in their death, but I think there's a study about it where most of them says, you know, F the people's opinions, live your best life, do what you want to do when you're younger. But then now when we're in our 20s, we don't really get to practice that because we shy away from the truth. And the truth will tell you that life is about facing your fears, going for what you believe in, enjoying the moment, and staying woke is about caring what really matters in life. It's about choosing what matters in life. You need to be in silence and go away from the crowd for once in a while. That's why I created NBU, is because I want to unplug people from reality at least twice a year.
Unplug. What do you
Unplug.
mean by
Yeah,
unplug?
unplug.
Like, I mean, we're so connected, right?
Connected.
But they say we're
Yeah.
disconnected.
We're just like basically in this cycle, you know, and for me, I want to, with NBU, I just want to unplug people from the real world and tell you, guys, you've been doing a lot already in the real world and, you know, in the matrix, and I want to unplug you for a while,
Take a breather.
take a breather, and be with the community who's also like you, who's also figuring out life, who's also proactive, who's also into personal growth, and reassess again things that you need to do. It's very important, and for me, I just really created that to be an ideal place for an ideal world. But because we're not an ideal world,
I like that.
Yeah.
Ideal place for the ideal world.
and because we don't live in the utopia, I put it in
Wow.
this and where
Sadly.
and teach you about life skills and make you realize again, you know, what matters. Staying woke, staying clear with what
I like
matters.
that. Hey, look,
That's
he's
so
already
sweet.
connecting us.
Yeah, it's
that's
electric.
cool. Wow, that's okay. So,
I feel the aura right here. It's so strong.
And you too, guys. You guys are doing great.
well, thank you. I mean, you know, hands down, that's the best praise we can receive right now.
Great start.
Yeah, great, beautiful start. I mean, having you here already is such a beautiful,
I'm honored too.
divine intervention. I mean,
Mm.
if I have to say.
Mm.
Okay, well, Mary, I think maybe
Yeah.
we have one more thing to get down to with Ralph.
Right.
Have you found your
So-
purpose?
Have you found my purpose?
Have you found your purpose?
All these-
I mean,
all these
do you
questions.
believe you've reached a point in your life where you can say, this is my purpose?
Right.
This is what I want to do. This is, have you connected your entire life? Has this 8 years been, or has the end this end destination that we all seek, you know, at the end of life, like that end final destination where it's like I've done everything I could. I left my name behind. I left a mark on this world. I mean, I'm sure even though you're an introvert in some way.
I am.
Well, yeah.
And maybe
surprisingly-
people,
yeah,
our viewers
surprisingly,
won't really believe
guys,
that.
I wouldn't
surprisingly,
know, but
don't
yeah.
be surprised.
Yeah.
Ralph was confiding that he was an introvert for a big part of his life.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
most of my friends won't agree to that, but
Well, you know, I guess our friends are always there to help
Yeah.
us feel different, right?
true.
So, yeah, the final destination, I guess, did you find your purpose?
It's a really good question, but it's also a very difficult question too. I think once you've been through a lot in life, it just becomes clearer and clearer, you know, because you put the BS away and you know now what you want. And I think that's when there's a clarity of where you want to go somehow. And then for me, is when purpose really is a connection between what you're great at, because now you know what to do, you
Yes.
know, where you can make a dent,
Yeah.
and then
You have the tools.
tools,
Yeah,
something
the
that can make you
weapons.
sustainable. It's like an ikigai, right?
Yeah,
Like,
ikigai.
Japanese.
Yeah, it's a Japanese one
Very-
with so many circles and they connect together.
Connects.
Find the purpose.
There you go. The purpose in the middle. The last one is what the world needs. And then for me, I think somehow I am clear with your purpose. And my purpose now is really to help people be the better version of themselves by helping them achieve their fullest potentials in many initiatives that I can. And I'll try. And I'll
Wow,
try making that
beautiful
purpose happen. Purpose is really something, and people say, I have my purpose, I know my purpose, but purpose is really a verb rather than a noun, you know? Or maybe what was that?
Verb?
Noun. But it should be a thing that you are actually doing in life. And I tell you, the lack of purpose is the most challenging of all because it tells you the truth about, you know, the reality of things. But what's great about purpose is that's where your heart is. That's why everything is worth it. It's not easy. It's just like, you found your purpose. It's like, everything's
Yeah, yeah.
beautiful and
There's
glitters.
There's like this. There's
True.
that, society measures. Yeah.
True. But it's something just worth sacrificing, and that's my purpose.
I like the word sacrifice.
Yeah.
So you believe sacrifice is something you really need to do to achieve what you want?
Of course, it's in the Bible too. I read that, and it says about sacrifice is going beyond yourself, because when you're
Well said.
right, because when you're in about yourself, you tend to be very egoistic and try to prove yourself too much. But then sacrifice is going the extra mile, doing what you need to do in service of the other people, even at the expense of yourself.
Right.
And there's let's end this this interview with this powerful quotation or quotation
Yeah.
that I've always it's like pinned right in
Oh,
right
okay.
there in the middle.
So
Right
your
there.
motto or slogan?
Slogan in my life.
So it's attached
And
to the chest, the whole.
It's attached.
the
Yeah,
whole
it's
life. Okay.
it's.
Alright.
I think I found this a year ago in a certain interview, in a certain video, and it's the quote is about plant trees on whose shade you may never sit on.
Wow, wait, say that again.
Plant trees on whose shade you may never sit on, which means it's like a sacrifice that you care about so that others will have a better life. And that for me is like ultimate, like the
It's
ultimate
like, it sounds
sacrifice.
like an unconditional love. Like
It's
a powerful type.
unconditional love.
Unconditional love.
Right.
Wow. That's
when you don't need anything in return, but everything to give. And I sound too ideal on that, but it's just like
No, that's
just what makes everything worth it.
that's everything. That's
Right.
wow. That's everything that makes you who you are.
Exactly.
Yeah. I feel
Just
like
remind
I'm
me
sitting
right now.
across someone who's gonna make some.
It making
Uh,
big waves.
massive-
right
We
now.
are going to. Thank you.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I mean, wow, Ralph, I'm flabbergasted. It's just
Thank you.
so beautiful how you've taken every struggle you've had in your life and you've
And then-
made it work for you.
Mhm.
You faced yourself, right?
Yes, and then you got it all, you packaged it, and then you turned it into a gift, a present. You basically just gave it to the world. You're giving it to the world, and people are just slowly, one by one, unwrapping it, and then they're like saying, wow, this is from Ralph Layco, New Bold University,
Thanks,
Macho
man.
Mucho, and they're just gonna remember you. And then from then on, it's gonna also light their own fire inside. And that's why this is the first time I saw this.
Yeah, the
inside.
heart.
I didn't know.
Oh my
I
God,
didn't
that's
know.
such a. We didn't know that. We didn't know that. We
Wow,
thought it was
we
just a fire.
We should use 2 eyes now instead of 1 eye too.
Yeah.
Stay woke.
Stay woke. Yeah. So okay. So Ralph, I guess maybe we
Yeah.
reached the end of our segment.
Right.
How can
I'm going to do the new tradition now. Thank you very much for having me in this.
Thank you for letting us host.
Of course,
It's
man.
a beautiful
Anytime.
opportunity.
Anytime. You guys are amazing, beautiful human beings.
Thank you.
Beautiful,
Thank you.
different shapes and forms. I'd like to commend you guys for what you're doing. You have to please like, and where's the camera? There you go. Like and share. Stay woke. They're in YouTube. They're in Facebook. And follow these guys. And I commend you guys for what you're doing. Good job.
Yeah,
and
guys.
how can the audience,
Yeah, by the way,
Right.
please let the audience know where they can
Yeah,
find
where
you.
they find you.
True.
Instagram,
Yeah.
Facebook.
You can find me on Instagram. It's made by Ralph Layco, and you can find me there also on Facebook. I'd love you guys if you follow our page. It's New Bold You, the New Bold, and there you go. So you can get more updates about our initiative with New Bold You.
Right.
Okay.
Well, Ralph, thank you so much.
Thank you
for
very
coming to
much,
the show.
Marie. Thank you very much, Pare. Thank you very much for
thank
having
you
me.
so much. Man.
It's an honor,
Wonderful.
guys.
It's such an honor. All right. So
All
thank you, and guys, always remember,
Stay
stay woke.
Alright, okay, cool.
All right.
Okay, that's a wrap. What a beautiful segment that was with Ralph Layco. I am at a loss for words. His struggle was definitely something I really shared and felt with. It was really strong, and I believe that his message will help a lot of young people out there. I mean, I know it helped us. Right?
Exactly.
What do you feel about his take?
In fact, Rama, I felt like I was very impressed by how he was able to build multiple businesses from different industries.
And they all failed at one point, right? How
Yeah.
did he even turn that around? It's insane. It's beautiful. Really, inspiration at work. Ralph is just one of a kind. And so that's it for episode 2. And I guess wait for our next episode. Tune in. Of course, Instagram, Stay Woke Living. Facebook,
right.
Stay
Facebook.
Woke. On YouTube, like and subscribe. Comment. If you want to
Right.
know a bit more about Ralph, we can always bring him back. So just let us know.
And if you're listening to us in different podcasts, whether it is Apple Music or in Spotify, but if you can leave a comment or put a 5-star review on this podcast, that will help us so much and get more people to hear about this story.
So much. And we really want that wisdom to spread. And so, guys, please stay tuned for the next episode. We have another guest. He comes from Guam, and he's another beautiful human being, like we always call him, Mr. Guam, right?
Mr. Ron. He's very
So,
dynamic.
guys, remember, always open heart, open mind.
Stay woke.